Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I want to go more in depth on sharks. They got their new support revealed as core cover support for a core set last week, about 10 days ago. So we're still super early, super fresh on that stuff coming out. But I've had a decent amount of time to kind of get a little more thoughts developed on that support and how I feel about the cards individually. I know there's a little bit of divisiveness on some of these cards on whether they're good, whether they're not, some stuff like that. So we're going to go in order of the new cards. We're going to go through all of them real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on any one of them, but we'll do the least playable to the playable in the order that it's not super strict order, but like generally how I feel about them. And we'll mention those, and then at the end I'll actually show a quick little deck profile. It's an early build for the deck. I don't feel super solid on it, but I think it's a good start and a good core that we can kind of build on from there as we move forward. So let's get into it. Whoa, jeez. Okay. Anyway, the least playable card from all the support revealed is the Animation Chronicle card revealed, Cutter Shark. Just doesn't do enough. It protects you from targeting, which is fine, but you give up a body and get a level 5, and it's not one of the level 5s that can level modulate to make number monsters. So I don't care. Like, this card is just bad. It's definitely not worth playing. It won't see play in Shark decks, I don't believe. Next up we have XYZ Poseidon Splash. The only way I could see this card seeing play in the deck is if you play it as a Foolish Burial Goods target. I know some people have played the other, I don't even remember the name of it. There's another trap that came out like a couple of years ago with like the Buzzsaw stuff that like can banish itself to like, I think help you like Exceed summon on top of an Exceed summon, something like that. It does something like that. It's nothing out of this world, but if you're already playing a Foolish Burial Goods package, having another target, and this one's just basically like a reborn. It's not that bad. All you have to do is have an Exceed monster on field with a material, then you can just reborn any Fish, Sea Serpent, or Aqua. It's actually not the worst thing in the world, but still don't love it, so it probably doesn't see play to me. Other than that, it's not searchable enough in a meaningful way for it to be worth playing. Next up, Armored Shark. The interesting part about this card is it's an Armored Exceed card, so it's searchable off of the Armored XYZ package. Problem is, this card's a pretty big brick. I don't know how you get this out of the hand. Most scenarios, I would assume you've already normal summoned by the time you're getting to searching this. In which case you can't normal summon this. It doesn't have an effect to summon itself from hand, and this deck, sharks don't really have a great way to discard, to like just get stuff out of the hand anyway. So how do you get this card engraved? That's its best utility anyway, being able to quick effect equip itself. It's just not enough, just too awkward of a brick. Theoretically, I thought this could have been an interesting card if Small World was the right way to go with the deck, but then we got the Tachyon spell card revealed, and I was like, oh, this is just better than Small World in the deck anyway, so you don't really need Small World fodder regardless. So I don't think this card's necessary. I think it's an easy cut for me. Surface Aquajet. This card reads like an okay card. It's just kind of like a monster reborn, but there's multiple reasons why this card's probably not worth playing for me. One, it's not searchable. It's not really searchable in the deck like very easily at all. And we already have White Mirror. If you want to play a card like a more powerful version of this card, just play White Mirror anyway. In which case, I'm not even sure White Mirror is worth playing in the deck. So for all those reasons, just card's an easy cut for me. And the last card here that I think is an easy cut for me, maybe not the easiest cut for me, but it's Shark Drake Leviathan. This may be kind of a shock to some people, because I know some people actually thought this card's pretty interesting. I know it was in Lithium's build, which I did check out. But I think this card is an easy cut for me for a couple of different reasons. One, you have to discard a spell to make this card. So you have to give up hand advantage to make it in the first place. Two, I'm just never making this over Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark gives you so much more value than this card and better interruptions. This card's like a walking impermanence. You can get either an Omni Negate plus follow-up in the form of a Toad and whatever the Bahamut gets you into, the Armored Exceed package, or maybe it's half of the materials you use to make an F-Zero line. So like, you get so much more value and interaction out of going into him instead of this. The only thing this card offers that some of the other rank 4 tools don't offer you is the ability to OTK super easily. So for that, I guess like I sort of like kind of appreciate this card, that like it can just completely blow your opponent away. But long story short, I don't think that's enough. I don't think the deck really struggles with that anyway, like get killing after you've like stopped your opponent. So for me, this card's just not worth it. Easy cut for me. This is where we we section off the cards that I think aren't don't deserve to see much play in Sharks competitively, and this is where we get into the cards that do, and we're going to start with the ones that are kind of like Fringe. It's a little bit weird. You'll see what I mean. The first one is Reincarnate Unveil Male. Interesting card. Basically, what this is a pretty comparable card to Armored Exceed, the spell card that just like equips an Exceed from grave to an Exceed on your field. There's a couple differences here. This card in grave can like equip to something on the end phase. It makes something indestructible by battle, which is another layer of protection for your whatever, the big Dark Knight Lancer guy, because he's already untargetable, but he is destructible by battle. So if somebody can just get and he's normally going to be pretty big, so that's not the biggest thing in the world, but like theoretically someone could make like a what is his name? Oh my gosh, access code and try to beat over him. They can't do that with this card. So it's that. Plus, it does give you the ability to like do some cheeky stuff in the battle phase. So it says if this card battled this turn, you can return a card equipped to this card to the hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon a water XYZ monster. You could theoretically like Exceed into something after attacking, so giving you kind of double attacks, potentially the ability to OTK. Nothing crazy. You can't like quick overlay for a Zeus or anything, but another water theoretically you could go for. It's nothing crazy, but yeah, it's like small stuff. I would just basically go back and forth on this and Armored Exeans, and like I don't know the deck so in depth that I know like which one really sticks out to me as the better one. But you got to play one probably because you really need a spell to be able to search off to make your new surfacing Big Jaws live, even in hands where you don't open a spell. I feel like that's like kind of a low key factor in playing one of the spell cards for the Armored Exceed package. And you just need to pick one. That's why this one's the lowest on the totem pole, because we already have a card that's like basically 90% of this card. I just don't know if the small differences matter enough to play this card over Armored Exceed, basically. All right, next up, Virtue Stream. We're actually going to skip over Virtue Stream real quick to jump into the next card because they go together. You don't play one without the other. But this card is basically just Icarus Attack for water decks. La Virtue Dragon. I think this card's actually kind of nice. I know I saw a couple people read this card and go like, oh, no, it's a rank 3, weird, I don't like it. I read this card, I said, that's actually kind of nasty. Okay, so here's something. If you follow Daddy Shark, he is the guy out there. Shout out to him. He makes awesome content. He tops, I believe, he topped a WCQ like very recently. He's topped regionals with this deck. Was it him who topped the YCS as well? I can't remember if it was him or if it was a different Shark player. But regardless, this guy is the Shark guy right now. He's really pushing this deck more than anybody else. And this support really helps. On top of that, he already plays the F-Zero package. He's been a pretty big proponent. He's been a pretty big pusher of the F-Zero package. In that package, you would normally play the XYZ Armor Torpedo. That's basically just a vanilla. You would summon it just as a vanilla to lay over the full armored Black Ray Lancer, I believe is the name, just to make another 4, and then Bahamut, and that can go into an F-Zero line. So you're already just playing a vanilla. Just to even do that, facilitate that line, which he did all the time in a lot of his builds, then you just replace it with this. You replace the XYZ Armor Torpedo with this. On summon, this card searches you an Icarus Attack. So you're already getting an Icarus Attack on top of whatever you did before. Then this card can attach the second material from your Bahamut Shark that you used to make it to go ahead and add any, fish, sea serpent, or aqua from your grave back to your hand. So you get follow-up, any water from your grave, basically, on top of just an Icarus Attack. And you just get that on top of what the deck did before, in that same line where you go into F-Zero. And then you overlay for Black Ray Lancer, you overlay for F-Zero, and boom. You've got a Monster Negate, you've got an Icarus Attack, and you've got a follow-up card in hand. This card severely power creeps that line specifically. And then, that kind of takes you back to Virtue Stream. It's basically an Icarus Attack, slightly better, because it adds 3 different types instead of just the one. And also, it has a nifty little card effect in Grave. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's not a nothing effect, right? It banishes from Grave to turn a non-water monster into water, or make a water monster indestructible by card effect the next time it would be. I think the bigger one is changing a non-water to water, because you can actually interrupt certain decks with that. Like some fire decks really need fires on field. That's not nothing. And another thing is like the Stealth Crag and stuff. There's good synergy with Stealth Crag in here. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but yeah, it's a decent card. And I normally wouldn't like propose you play an Icarus attack in a deck, but when it's Sword Soul Blackout, when it's this is even better than Sword Soul Blackout in my opinion, because in the construct of this deck, you get this card for absolute free. Right? Sword Soul Blackout, you're going through a Sword Soul line and you're choosing whether you want to search Blackout, whether you want to grab an extender, you're making a decision to get it. This card is just absolutely free. You just go through your lines and this card just pops into your hand for no cost, basically. So I actually like this card quite a bit. Alright, final three. Drake Shark. This card we don't need to spend too much time on. I don't think its bonus effects really matter at all. I think it's literally just this first effect. It poplars out of the hand. If it's added from deck to hand, you special summon it. It is a level 4. There are a bunch of ways to search this, whether it's the new search spell, whether it's Abyss Shark, whether it's surfacing Big Jaws. You have a ton of ways to search this card, and it just jumps out. And it just says added to the hand generically, not specifically from the deck. So even if you play this card at 1 and you go through it on turn 1, on a later turn, you can just add this back to hand with something, and this just summons out again. Also, reading this again... Oh, wait, never mind. It is once per turn. I was going to say, is this even once per turn? On a later turn, you can just add it back, and it summons out again. Not that, like, you know what I mean? There are ways to do that. So, yeah, this card's solid. It's nothing crazy, but I was kind of complaining about just the pool of level 4 water extenders, so it's nice to see a nice little addition there. Simple one-off, but it does matter in the way the deck plays. It's actually going to come up a lot. All right, final two. 7th Tachyon. This card's huge for the deck. I wanted consistency buffs for the deck for sure. I thought the extra deck was actually pretty solved. I thought the extra deck was pretty well off already. And they gave us the bonus in Lavirtue Dragon, but I really wanted main deck buffs. I wanted consistency. I wanted better extension. I just wanted the main deck cards to feel stronger when I'm activating them. They're either baiting hand traps in a favorable way, or at least a more favorable way than they were before. Just felt like the main deck stuff just wasn't quite strong enough. And we got that in spades, right? 7 Tachyon. Even though it's a -1, it literally searches your 3 main sharks. Shark Drake, good simple level 4 extender. Surfacing Jaws, better extender, and makes it live because it's a spell card activating. And you can just grab Buzzsaw, so it also just grabs the best normal summon in the deck. That is all you need. Even though it's a -1, I will take that all day, being able to grab those 3 cards. This card is an auto 3 of for me in the deck. And the final card is Surfacing Big Jaws. It is not even close. This card is by far the most helpful card of all the support. Even if we didn't get Tachyon, we could play Small World. We could find spells to fill up the deck to make sure this card is live for its extension effect. If any spell has been activated that turn, it can jump out of the hand for free. On summon, it just searches any fish shark monster. That is it. Just any fish shark. It can search Abyss Shark. It can search Buzzsaw if you have a normal summon. It can search Drake Shark to just summon from hand immediately. Very strong. Very, very strong card. So, yeah, this is maybe even the best card in the main deck now, going forward. Even as a normal summon, it's not bad. You'd rather pair it with something like Buzzsaw and use this as an extender, but if your hand has to do it, you just go normal summon. And if you have an extender with it, cool. It's going to bait a hand trap, and then you extend through it, and you're going to get to something through multiple hand traps. So, yeah, it's a really, really good card. This is by far the best card of the new support. Okay, so those are my overall thoughts. Not I know I reacted to the news when they came out, but I wanted to go a little more in depth and actually having a couple days, almost 2 weeks to kind of think more about it. I feel way more sure than I did before. I kind of said oh, the new Shark Drake Leviathan, it's an interesting card, but I'm not sure. Now I'm sure. I'm sure I don't want to play it, and I won't be playing it. I just don't think it's worth it. And any of those other cards that fell into that category, and then all the ones above that. I feel solid on that they deserve to be played as well. Okay, so now the last part of this, we're going to go through a super early, super preliminary deck list here. This is nothing crazy here. A lot of this is going to make perfect sense, and none of this is solidified as well. So take this with a grain of salt. Starting off, 1 Butuniful, 3 Buzzsaw, 3 Surfacing Big Jaws, 3 Abyss Shark. These are the cream of your deck right here. These 9 cards are so good. Opening any 2 of these in combination is going to feel really good in a lot of scenarios. 1 Silent Sentinel, we'll get to that in a minute. Crystal, Right Hand, Drake Shark, and XYZ Remora. I think you only need 1 XYZ Remora. I think somebody knows the deck might have some reasons where you can reach critical mass in crazy combos by playing a second one, but I think one is more than enough. It's not once per turn. You have ways to get it back with like your Dark Knight Lancer, as well as your Lavirtue Dragon if you need to. I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world to play it at 1. And plus, it's not a great card to open. You don't really want it in your opening hand. You'd rather get it through other means. And it's searchable off of Abyss Shark. It's searchable off of... You can summon it off of Buzzsaw and get it back from grave later. It's even searchable off 7th Tachyon. So I think the accessibility for this card's never been higher. So I think 1 is fine. Same idea for Sea Nettle, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Actually, I guess we don't need to anymore. Yeah, it's fine. So I put 1 Sea Nettle here. I don't love the water lock. It's not that big of a deal. Like, everything through the extra deck until you get to like exactly these last 3 slots is all water anyway. But it does lock you out of F-Zero lines going first, and it does lock you out of ever making Zeus going second in turns where you use it. So there's small drawbacks to it. The biggest thing for me, though, you have turn 1s where you run through so much of your extra deck. Like, if you run through both Bahamut's, right? You go through your Toad, you go through your Lavirtue, you may have 1 Toad left, but you don't have any Bahamut's left, right? You maybe have Stealth Kraken as like your follow-up rank 4 to make that's like puts pressure on the board. But like aside from that, sometimes you literally don't have like anything else to make if your opponent's able to break a full board. And they won't be able to often, but if they can, I wanted something where like on the follow-up, like Stealth 7th Tachyon searches it, so kind of like a 4 of. You can also just dump it off Foolish Burial, kind of like a 5 of if you need it, right? So I felt like it's pretty accessible even as a 1 of. Not a card I want to open super often, but in a scenario where it does look like we're going to get to a grind, I want to be able to put back like a Bahamut and a Toad and something else maybe just to reload the extra deck a little bit so that I can put more pressure on the board than just 1 Stealth Kraken, because a lot of the combos we do now are getting a water back off of Lavirtue Dragon, and when our opponent forces us to use the Toad, we're getting a water back off of that. So we're ending with 2 waters back in hand, but that doesn't mean much if we don't have the extra deck slots to make use of them on the next turn. So that was something I thought was like a spicy little one-off tech because we can access it pretty easily. Moving on from there, the Tachyon, the Prosperities. I'm not sure on Prosperity either, but it is a super easy playable spell that just says like use it immediately. And also imagine just like finding a Big Jaws off of this and then it's just alive. You can just special it and you already have combo without normal. It's so strong, man, so strong. You're probably banishing 3 more often than not off of this, but it is still a spell and it helps with consistency overall. Post side finding, you know what I mean, like blowout cards, pretty nice as well. A couple of random other spells. Foolish Burial, because we do have a couple of decent tools, whether it's Nettle, Crystal, Right Hand, or even trying to put something in grave that we haven't utilized yet. Like if you start your turn without Big Jaws and you get to Lavirtue, being able to just like foolish him, add him back, and then just he extends you way further from that point on is actually pretty nice. Called by and 1 for 1 just for the Princess. Again, I'm not sure on this package either. Like Right Hand's a pretty big brick paired with the Foolish. He may not be worth playing all the way, but maybe you still play Foolish just with the 1 Crystal, and maybe you play 1 for 1 with the Beautiful, but maybe Right Hand's cuddle. But he makes this a better starting extender than Crystal Shark, because this can be used for just like actual rank 4s, not just Kragen like a Crystal Shark is. Called by, I mean, imagine stopping an Ash Blossom, not having a spell for Big Jaws, and then boom, it's live now. Amazing. Talents and Droplet, they're just like the best like non-engine spells in the game right now. And for a deck that wants to activate spells to make Big Jaws live as often as possible, this fits pretty nicely here. Plus, imagine drawing 2 into Big Jaws and then just summoning Big Jaws and going ham. The Reincarnate Unveil Mail, right now I have it in over the Armored Exceed, but again, like I said, we have to figure out the nitty-gritty of which one's bonus effects actually matter more. Full Armored Exceed, part of the Full Armored package, you got to play it. Full Virtue Stream, yep, got to play it. You get it for free in most of your combos. 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, 1 Gozen. I think Gozen's probably just worth playing. There are going to be decks that already lose to this, but all you have to do is make a Kragen with this, and you win the game. So it's probably worth at least siding, at the very least siding, but maybe even maining, and so I have it in here for now. But we're also on 41 cards, so that could either be the right-hand shark or the Gozen. Something easy like that could be cuttable. But yeah, that's the main. Into the side, we've got the 2 Bahamets, the 2 Toads, the 1 Lavirtue, 1 Kragan, 1 Kragan Spawn, 1 Armor Fortress, 1 Crystal Zero, 1 Dark Knight Lancer, 1 Silent Honor Arc. You have to play this for the 7th Tachyon. It's one of the downsides, is it does take an extra slot to play it, but you have to play it. It's too good for consistency not to. And then the full armored Black Ray Lancer to make on the Lavirtue Dragon, so you can go into the F-Zero line, like I said before, and then 1 Zeus there. There's a couple other options in the side deck. I do want to make note of some of these. Okay, for the main deck, White Mirror. My problem with this card is it doesn't start you off. You have to already be playing for this card to even be live, and even in some of those scenarios, if it's not ideal, this card's still not amazing. So I'm off this card for right now, but I'll keep it in mind. It is powerful in like fortunate circumstances, but I feel like the weaker hands, this card's not enough. Foolish Burial Goods, this is potentially another consistency card you could play over like maybe the 1-for-1 Foolish Burial Tuna right hand package. You could play this package, which would normally be 3 Burial of Goods, 1 Ice Barrier, it's a trap card that can like search a level 5 or higher water, and 1 copy of Gamma Seal, just as like a going second option to search. So you can either search Abyss Shark for a superior extender, you can search Crystal Shark for a basic extender, or you can search Gamma Seal. It's a spell that activates, gets stuff going, it turns on Big Jaws. It's a package to consider. I didn't put it in here because we already saw it from Lithium, and I wanted to try messing around with some other stuff, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Ready Fusion's another one, but my problem with Ready Fusion, takes an extra deck slot. You got to find room for rare fish, and I don't see much room for rare fish here. And then you get to the extra stuff. A 3rd Bahamut, like I said, like I get nervous about going through 2 Bahamut turn 1 and not even having one for a later turn if our opponent can break the board. So I like the idea of being able to play a 3rd, but I'm struggling for space here. Dugar's is interesting. It's more interesting if you play the Flourish Burial Good package, because if you open the Ice Barrier, you really want to get that engraved, so this does give you a way to draw 2 and put that engraved for when you do brick on it. Plus it can still go into like the Armor Fortress line, so that's cool. Kragan, I think Kragan's fine as a 1-of, but like a second one doesn't hurt, so it's like there's that. Dweller is another really powerful going first option. That's another one that like can be a blowout and you're gonna want in certain formats, but again, space is tight. And then Typhon. Typhon's the one I want the most out of these 5 cards, I think, just because I just feel like this card can come up at any time. A lot of your cards lock you into Exceed Summoning, but not necessarily Water Monsters specifically. So this card can come up to like finish breaking a board, and this is a deck that's like really going to be strong going first, maybe not out of this world going second. So I do appreciate a card like Typhon for those scenarios, but yeah, it's, you know, space like we're talking about. As far as the main deck goes, you really need to like question whether the F-Zero package is really worth playing, because it's 3 total cards. That's a lot. That's a lot of investment there. The problem is sometimes I feel like you could end up with an extra Bahamut and no way to make use of him. So that's one of those things where I sit there and I wonder, like, it's 3 slots, but like it really does add critical mass to the deck and like really make best use of those Lavirtue Dragon lines. Other than that, I think potentially 1 Toad is cuttable if you're only on 2 Bahamut. I think if you're on 3 Bahamut, you just say keep the 2 Toad, because I want a Toad and a Bahamut in extra for on the follow-up turn. But other than that, there's not much I want to cut here. Those are really the only slots you even need to think about. I do like the Spawn specifically because of Kragan's synergy with Lavirtue Stream, or Virtue Stream, being able to pop something with Kragan, then use Lavirtue Stream, popping Kragan and 2 cards your opponent controls, so that's 3 cards. And then Kragan triggers to summon a Stealth Kragan Spawn, and then because Virtue Stream has the effect engraved to turn a non-water monster water on your opponent's field, your Kragan Spawn can now pop again. So you literally get 4 pops off of that. Which is insane. And if your opponent has a way to destroy the Kragan Spawn as well, and they destroy it, you can summon back the regular Stealth Kragan. He's not even once per turn. He's not a hard once per turn. So then he can pop something again. So theoretically, you have the potential for 5 different pops in 1 turn, just off of having 2 endboard pieces, which I think is really cool. So I do like the Spawn for that. It actually feels like there's more utility for this than there was in the past. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's how I feel about the cards. Again, this is an early build. Honestly, I'm totally open to suggestions. Any other spell cards you can think of that are just like good, easy to play, but still totally viable spell cards for a deck like this, my ears are yours. Please throw me any spells you think are definitely potentially addable into this deck as well, whether it's consistency, whether it's just something simple. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, to see like what the best simple spells to play in the deck are to, you know, smoothly work in with being able to facilitate big jaws, because that's really what you need to do. Card's the best card in the deck. We need to make it live. But there you go. That's everything for me here. Sorry if I rambled a little much. 25 minutes is kind of long here, but again, this is a more in-depth discussion on where Sharks are with their new cards. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts overall on the new Shark cards. Also, any other spells or tech options you think maybe for this build, trying to get a little closer to a final, to like a more concrete build for when these cards do come out. I'd love to hear any suggestions for the build that way. But other than that, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.